What if everything you were taught about goodness, kindness, and fairness was a lie? What if behind the scenes of every empire, every billion-dollar company, and every influential movement, there lurked a darker truth? The truth that those who rise to the top, who win wars, elections, and boardroom battles, are not always the best among us. Often, they're the worst. Not because they're lucky or even smart, but because they are ruthless. Niccolò Machiavelli wasn't merely writing about power. He was confessing a secret hidden beneath centuries of civility. A secret the powerful already knew, that morality is optional, but strategy is essential. His work, The Prince, was not a manifesto of evil. It was a user manual for dominance. And it still is. Psychology now names the traits he hinted at centuries ago: the dark triad: narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. These are not just clinical labels. They are evolutionary weapons. Those who possess them don't play by the rules. They rewrite them. And while the rest of us are busy trying to do the right thing, they are climbing over us to seize the throne. This video is not about celebrating evil. It is about understanding it. Because if you don't see the shadows, they will swallow you. Part 1. Narcissism, the mask of grandeur. Narcissism is the seductive face of evil. It smiles. It flatters. It draws you in. And when it's done, it leaves you questioning your reality. Let's be clear. We all have narcissistic tendencies. Confidence, pride, ambition, they serve a purpose. But clinical narcissism is a personality disorder. It's a fragile ego wrapped in gold, desperate for worship, terrified of rejection. The narcissist believes they are unique, special, destined, and they expect the world to reflect that belief. When it doesn't, they rage, or they punish. One of the most iconic examples in history is Napoleon Bonaparte. Born to a modest Corsican family, he rose to become Emperor of France. Not because he was born into royalty, but because he believed he should rule. That belief, his sheer audacity, made others believe, too. He was magnetic. His speeches stirred armies. His victories reshaped Europe. But underneath the brilliance was a man obsessed with image, legacy, and control. He crowned himself emperor, not the pope, himself. This wasn't just ceremony. It was a declaration. I am above tradition. I am the moment. And that's the core of narcissism. The self isn't part of the world. The self is the world. But why do such people win? Because narcissists understand one thing perfectly. People want to believe in greatness. In business, the narcissist pitches big. They promise the impossible. They wear the suit, flash the smile, and exude certainty. And most people, in the fog of uncertainty, cling to certainty, even if it's a lie. They mirror your dreams, make you feel important, then subtly position themselves as your savior. Consider corporate icons who rose fast and fell hard. Leaders who built cults of personality, who were idolized by employees, investors, and the media. They crafted visions not grounded in reality, but in self-importance. And when those visions collapsed, the damage was already done. Companies bankrupted, employees betrayed. But the narcissist? Often, they had already moved on to their next conquest. Here's what makes them dangerous. They lack true empathy. They rewrite narratives to protect their ego. They destroy dissenters and reward enablers. Narcissists create toxic ecosystems, teams where only admiration is tolerated, where criticism is heresy, where gaslighting becomes policy. Even in personal relationships, narcissists can be emotionally devastating. They use love as leverage, validation as a drug, and discard others when they no longer serve their reflection. And yet, time and time again, they rise. Because we mistake their confidence for competence. We are conditioned to trust the bold, the articulate, the visionary. But narcissists are not visionaries. They are illusionists, masters of the mirror. And the higher they rise, the harder the fall, for everyone but them. So how do they win? Because we let them. We are drawn to light, even if it burns us. We want to believe in heroes. And narcissists offer the performance of a lifetime. To counter them, you must look past the performance. Look at how they treat others. Look at their response to criticism. Look at whether they lift people up or use them as stairs. Don't be dazzled by the mask, because behind it, there's nothing but hunger. Part 2. Machiavellianism, the master of strategy. Machiavellianism is not about loud declarations or flamboyant charm. It is about silence, patience, and precision. These are the strategists of the Dark Triad. They do not seek to be loved. They seek to win. Named after Niccolò Machiavelli, whose political treatise The Prince suggested that rulers must be cunning and ruthless when necessary. Machiavellianism represents the cold, calculating mind willing to manipulate any system, any person for power. A Machiavellian doesn't need to believe in a cause. The only belief that matters is control. They thrive in ambiguity, disguise their intentions, and play the long game. One historical figure who epitomized this was Joseph Stalin, not because of the sheer scale of his power, but because of how he achieved it. Stalin didn't seize power through a grand rebellion. He didn't storm the palace gates. He infiltrated the system, slowly, methodically. While others debated ideology, he placed loyalists in key positions. While rivals gave speeches, he collected information. And when the moment was right, he struck. Machiavellians often operate under the radar. They're not always the charismatic leader, but often the advisor, the handler, the one pulling strings in the shadows. Their traits include strategic deception, emotional detachment, a relentless focus on ends over means. They are masters of impression management. They will tell you what you want to hear, do what they must in secret, and always maintain plausible deniability. In the modern world, you find Machiavellianism in politics, corporate boardrooms, intelligence agencies, even religious institutions. They're not guided by ideology, but by outcomes. Ideology is a tool. Loyalty is a mask. So why do they win? Because most people are short-sighted. Because most people believe what they see, not what's being hidden. Because we confuse civility with sincerity. While we play checkers, they play chess. And they're thinking 12 moves ahead. Machiavellians understand that perception is power. They let others take credit when it benefits them. They take blame only when it strengthens their image. They exploit divisions, whisper lies, and sow just enough doubt to make you question your allies. And when everything crumbles, they emerge untouched, ready to rebuild in their image. How do they manipulate? By appealing to your desires, by feeding your fears, by appearing neutral while others fight. They're not emotional. They're efficient. In toxic workplaces, the Machiavellian may never raise their voice, but they orchestrate chaos with subtle moves. They might pit employees against each other, leak just enough information to provoke a reaction, or sabotage without fingerprints. Their moral compass doesn't spin. It doesn't exist. To defend yourself, look for patterns, not in what they say, but in what always seems to happen when they're around. Who gets promoted? Who gets isolated? Who always seems a step ahead? Machiavellians rely on your trust. Break that. They rely on your assumptions. Question them. They rely on your passivity. Act. If narcissists win through illusion, Machiavellians win through manipulation. They are harder to spot, but far more dangerous, because by the time you see them, they've already won. Part 3. Psychopathy, the fearless predator. If narcissists crave attention and Machiavellians crave control, psychopaths crave nothing. And that is what makes them terrifying. Psychopathy is the absence of empathy, the inability to feel guilt, a cold detachment from the emotional world that binds most of us. Psychopaths are not all serial killers. Many never commit violent crimes, but they are often behind the most destructive decisions in business, politics, and finance. Because they do what others won't. Not because they're brave, but because they're unburdened by conscience. Pablo Escobar is one of the clearest examples. He wasn't just a drug lord. He was a myth maker, a manipulator, a master of psychological warfare. He built schools and hospitals to gain loyalty, then bombed airplanes and murdered judges to maintain power. He could charm a room, smile for a photo, and order an assassination 5 minutes later. No remorse, no hesitation. Psychopaths are fearless in risk, apathetic to suffering, charming when needed, They often rise in environments that reward boldness. High-stakes finance, military leadership, law enforcement, politics, places where being calm under pressure can be mistaken for leadership. They thrive in crisis because they don't feel the crisis. While others panic, they calculate. Why do they win? Because society rewards performance, not morality. Because we trust people who appear calm and confident. Because we mistake emotional detachment for strength. A psychopathic CEO may fire 10,000 people without blinking. A psychopathic politician may ignite war without flinching. A psychopathic partner may ruin your life and feel nothing. They're not driven by emotion. They're driven by outcomes, and they will do anything to win. Psychopaths often overlap with narcissists and Machiavellians. Some are all three. These are the most dangerous people in any hierarchy. How do you defend yourself? You don't appeal to their conscience. There is none. You don't try to beat them at their game. They don't play fair. You set firm boundaries. You document everything. You stay rational. If possible, stay away. Psychopaths are not human in the way we understand humanity. They mimic feelings not to connect, but to control. And if you let them in, they will not stop until there is nothing left. Why society rewards the dark triad? Because we are not wired to see manipulation clearly. Because charisma blinds us. Because we reward boldness, confidence, and decisiveness without asking where it comes from. The dark triad wins because they know what most don't. That power is a game. That people are pawns. That morals are only useful if they serve strategy. We build systems that reward short-term performance over long-term integrity. And those systems become havens for dark triad personalities. Until we change how we define leadership, how we reward behavior, and how we hold power accountable, they will keep rising. How to defend yourself. 1. Educate yourself. Learn the traits. Narcissists seek admiration. Machiavellians seek leverage. Psychopaths seek dominance. 2. Observe, don't absorb. Watch patterns, not promises. Watch actions, not words. 3. Set boundaries. These personalities test limits. Enforce yours clearly and early. 4. Don't play the game. Refuse to engage in power plays. Refuse to be baited. Stay grounded. 5. Build strong networks. Isolation is their weapon. Connection is your shield. 6. Demand accountability in your leaders, your systems, your institutions. The dark triad will always exist because there will always be those who believe that winning is everything and humanity is optional. But if you can see them, you can stop them, not by becoming like them, but by being everything they are not. Aware, awake, and absolutely unwilling to be fooled again.